Deborah, with her 30 years of being an entrepreneur and creating over 7 companies, knows exactly what it means to accept the mission. When you make that decision, when you accept the mission to become a solopreneur, to take yourself and your talents to market, then you embrace a life of not only unlimited possibilities, but also the unknown. It's an elixir of fear and bravery that only someone who's taken the leap really understands. On our show, Deb digs deep with her guests to highlight what you, the listener, wants to know. The stories, the whys, and the hows to navigate the journey to success. Get ready to hear from some of the most incredible mission takers from Generation Z to Boomers. So sit up, perk up, and get ready to be blown away. Now here is your host, Deborah Drummond.
You are the best audience. You know you're the best audience, and all year round, I've been telling you, you've been stupendous and studious when we've had on teachers, intuitive when we've had on guests that play in the intuitive world. Anyways, look, you guys are rock star audience because you play, you share, you give me comments, you listen. I check my analytics like any good business person should. You guys are coming in from all over the world. Thank you, UK. You guys are rocking our numbers. But look, I'm excited. I never timestamp my podcast because we send them out forever because we talk about entrepreneurship and the guts and the good of entrepreneurship. And that's always current. Our guests are always current. But look, I'm going to timestamp this one because you're going to be like, wow, Deb is super excited. Not that I don't love doing my show, but is there not something fantastic about completion? Like when your foot crosses that line, when you're doing your Sun Run or your Boston Marathon or whatever, and it crosses, or you check off that list. Do we ever check off everything on our list? Anyways, it has been such an incredible year. I'm super lucky. This woman time in her schedule. We pulled her in the very last of the last. We are coming and wrapping up this gorgeous year of 2022. And it has been gorgeous in all its interesting beauty, right? And me and Jenny were talking last week. I'm like, are you available? Like, could you do a show I would make time in my schedule 2 days before Santa, if you could. And she's like, damn straight, let's do this, girl, because that's the kind of woman she is. And if you follow her in any of her uniqueness, you'll know that those were her words and not mine. So I'm super excited. Look at you guys. It's called Mission Accepted. This is where people that come on that are self-funding in media, creative, entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs come on and share their funky, share their stories, share their tips, share their journey. She falls in all those categories. So lucky you, lucky me. Welcome, Jenny, to the last show of 2022. Welcome to Mission Accepted.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Deb. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to talk to you and your audience about, well, whatever comes up today, because I'm a big believer in whatever we talk about is exactly what we need to talk about and what the listener needs to hear in the moment that they're listening right now.
Absolutely. I love it. And that's why I say that these are always current. I always tell podcast guests, and so if you don't know, Jenny rocks it out on the airways as well. And so I'm sure you tell your guests the same thing, is that your podcasts are so current. They're like, keep them floating in the universal world because someone needs to hear something. And we have that experience as well. I put on Simon Sinek today, and I looked specifically for a podcast I had heard from him a long time ago. I'm like, oh, today's the day I need to re-hear that. But look, we're entrepreneurs here. A lot of our audience is entrepreneurs, or they just get a big kick out of the ridiculous stories that entrepreneurs put themselves through. So how did you go, and where did you come from, and how did you get into this world of self-funding yourself?
Oh my gosh. Well, it started with 18 no's. Is where it started with me. I didn't have an option. I for years had been a middle school science teacher, and took some time off to have my first child. And when I decided to go back into teaching, it was right in the middle of that global recession that was happening about 10-ish, 12-ish years ago or something like that. Mm-hmm. And schools just didn't have money, at least not here in the Midwest. They were broke, and they could not afford a teacher with experience. So they kept hiring all these brand new college grads. And so I asked the universe, I said, fine, universe, if I'm not supposed to be teaching, what am I supposed to do? And then a direct sales invitation showed up in my mailbox, that thing that's out in front of your house, that nowadays only has junk mail. Well, back then I still got real mail, and I got a real piece of mail inviting me to an event. I did not connect the invitation to my request 2 days before because I'm ADHD and totally forgot I asked the universe to do that. I'm going to be honest. And I attended the event and I walked out with a business, and I rocked that business for 7 years. Absolutely fell in love with what direct sales, network marketing, and MLM can do for people. Saw the transformation it had for people. It literally, I watched my direct sales business literally save another woman's life. That business got her out of an abusive marriage safely and got her kids into a safe place. So for me, that was my eye-opening, this business is no longer about me moment.
Right.
And I started making a shift at that point, going, how can I reach more people to get that kind of success, those kinds of stories that, everyone has when they start their business, whether it's a direct sales business or their entrepreneurial journey. Everybody has a dream for what they want to create. It's just so many people give up on it. And that literally broke my heart. Because I was like, man, if it weren't for this business, I wouldn't be who I am today. And so I shifted out of being active in the direct sales community into my coaching business, my podcasting business, almost 6 years ago now.
Right.
And it was literally happening this time of year, 6 years ago. I was meeting with another business coach and going, how do I do this? How do I make that shift? And so that was a really powerful moment for me to have that conversation and move from one business to another, to walk away from one into another, start all over again at zero, and now have been building it for 5.5, almost 6 years.
Ding, ding, ding. That I have a love for the direct sales industry as well. I was the daughter of a mother who did Tupperware. And, my dad left, and there was no money, honey. And so she went out and sold some plastic containers that burped, and she had to take me with her because she didn't have any money for a babysitter. And I saw my first circle of commerce. Like, I literally sat there and watched people having happy, happy, joy, wine and snacks. My mother was happy. She was making money. They were happy. They were having community, and it made an impression on me. I watched her do it again when I was a teenager with a clothing company. She made huge amounts of money off the cocktail waitresses that I was working with, and t-shirt dresses. Woo. And it made such an impression on me that I created my own companies, as you know. But the reason why the essence of it is exactly what you're talking about. I don't know if I know another industry that's as transformational. I always say that direct sales is the reason why I love it so much is that there's no requirement. Like, it is the most equal opportunity employer in the world.
Yeah.
And what you need is that part that does break your heart a little bit, is the duration. I don't even know if it's drive. I just think it might be able to drive a bit of hunger, but it's the ability to play the long game. Yeah. Right. And unfortunately, that can be a challenge for people. That can just be a challenge for people in general. But I love your story. I love your story because I think it's one of a cajillion. And I love it because hopefully it changes the idea of what sometimes people think of direct sales. In my mother's day, it was literally called apron money. God have mercy. It was called apron money, right? A little bit of extra money so you can go and get yourself a little something. And then, did I change my voice there? And then, and then it became, okay, then it almost became like a not true word. Oh, it's a pyramid. And I'm like, go turn around, just turn over an American dollar bill and let's see what's there. It's a pyramid, So if you make more money than your boss, let me know, because I do. And then there's been this whole evolution around changing and having respect for the profession. And that profession is responsible for the most millionaires in North America for women. So interesting, the evolution of it. Yet there's multiple changes that happen in it. And yet we evolve as people. let's talk about changes. Changes. Let's do a little Bowie today. So let's talk about that, because we changed. You obviously went from one experience to another. You just said it was a pivotal moment for you. We are coming to the close of a year. We're in this show is showing off at the beginning of a year. No matter when you hear this show, you can you can take off that piece of paper and write a new one. No one said January 1st is your one shot at life for the next year.
Oh, and
But
thank God for that, because I
yeah,
started my business in September. I started my other business in March. If January 1st was the only time to make a shift, man, I would have been screwed.
yeah, exactly. So tell us about some of your process. I mean, I know you've got some changes going on. You just shared with me you're doing another podcast. My God, of course you are. Tell us about that. But what prompted the change? How did it feel when you were going through the change?
Oh my
Excited, grieving? I don't
gosh.
know. What's the
Uh,
deal?
all of the above, seriously. Because when you're making that shift, there is a little bit of having to let go of the previous life, the previous idea, the previous way of doing things. So there is a bit of a grieving process in going through that. And sometimes when we change uh, our business, it changes us, and we change, we allow that change to happen within ourselves, which can sometimes mean that not everybody around us follows that change, likes that change, is on board for that change. So through all of my shifting and changing, especially right around the time where I shifted from a direct sales business to my coaching business, unfortunately my personal life also went through a shift at the same time. So I
Mhm.
got to deal with that uh, as I call the gooey chrysalis stage, because if people think like a caterpillar goes in the chrysalis and then just things just move around, they don't realize like the caterpillar literally dissolves into this slimy goo and then reincorporates in some magical scientific way, I don't know how, into a butterfly. Well, when I was shifting into my coaching business, I was in that slimy, gooey phase in my personal and in my business at the same time. It was fully transformational. It was messy as hell. I mean, I
Mhm.
did not do things perfectly. I did not do things right all the time, but by golly, I kept moving forward, slogging through the muck and mire of what was going on in all of my life, and just kept going. And so the change that happens is often reflective of both what's happening outside and inside at the same time, because you can't go through something like a shift in your business, like a shift in your personal life, and not have it change you. It's just not possible, because you're going to have learning moments. You're going to have moments that have you change your filters, the way you see life, the way you think about things,
Mhm.
that will come out of all of that. So, for me, those shifts, those changes really added to who I am, because now I've got some experience. Because there were people who were like, "Oh, you charmed life. You grew up the daughter of a doctor, and you went to college, and you were married, and you had the 2.5 kids and the house and the da da." Yeah, no, I just went through a divorce. Like, walked away from a very successful business in order to start another one. So yeah, I've been through some stuff.
Yeah.
So people I that helps me understand and empathize with other people, and not to say there weren't other things that happened in my life beforehand that weren't perfect. um but it allows that empathy piece to come up more as I'm talking to people, as I'm talking with my clients, working them through their own stuff in business and in personal life too, because I'm not just a business coach, I'm a whole person coach. Because in entrepreneurship, I don't care what your compensation model is, whether you're in business for and by yourself, or you're a representative for a company, or how you do business, I don't care. Your whole life is involved. There's so much bleed over from personal into business, business into personal. I can't just be a business coach. I can't just be a life coach. I've got to be there for the whole person to be able to help move their whole life forward, because it all feeds in. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
No, and absolutely. So thank you for sharing that, because, you know, changes are going to be different for everybody, but we know that the consistent congruency is that there's going to be a challenge and an uncomfortableness. Your uncomfortableness was green goo. You know, someone else's uncomfortableness was none of their friends agreed with their business. Another person's uncomfortableness was no support. Another person's uncomfortableness when they left something was, you know, they got ostracized. Another person's change was like, you know what I mean? They were full of self-doubt, but everybody else believed in them. I mean, everybody's got their own stuff around it, but what we know, it's uncomfortable because you and I both are trainers. And when you say you accomplish everything, you also are working with people's minds, and we're also working with our minds. And by nature, we get very comfortable. You know, the neuronal process around that, we get very comfortable. And when change comes, even when we want it, our brain still has to go through that uncomfortable rewiring, which is why I'm glad to hear that you had a coach, because we all should, even if we're coaching people. But when you talk about the uncomfortableness, even when the other side of it is unicorns, rainbows, and cotton candy, there is a process that might feel like you're walking on glass, right?
Yeah.
Which is probably why some of the big people, you know, and you go to their classes, and, you know, I remember going and breaking a board, right? It was this women's self-defense. We broke a board, and all those things that you do to push past your own level of uncomfortableness on the physicality. Therefore, it moves you on the inside. So I think if anyone's looking for changes or doing changes, like you explained in that caterpillar example, is that if you can expect some of the goo, you can work with that, and you can stay in what we just talked about, go through the process, because inevitably on the other side, if you're really strong in your, you know, in your vision, then it's obviously a better to go up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the difference between those who make it in entrepreneurship and those who don't. It's we have a much stronger connection to our why, our purpose, our vision, what we want to create. Because if I were not committed to my coaching business, if I were not committed to the outcomes that I want and the vision and the mission that I have attached my business to, my business mission is to empower rockstar direct sales moms to be leaders in business at home.
Yeah.
Why does that matter to me? Because that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I became a leader in business and at home.
Right.
It shifted me to being an entrepreneur, made me a better mother.
Right.
Right. And so that's what moves me forward and attaches me. And I think that's what the big difference is between successful entrepreneurs and those who aren't, depending on what your definition of success is, which is not necessarily 7 figures, blah, 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 right? Success is being able to work for yourself, being able to support your family, being able to do what you love and make a difference in this world, however that shows up. That's my definition.
And you know what? And I love the fact that you're giving the allowance for people to define that. So look at you guys, there's a really great tip in terms of define what success is for you, because it's probably, I think that word is, I'm not going to say it's overused, but it's everywhere. It's like, it's all over social media. It's all over books. Look at, we buy books with it in the title for a reason, because we're attracted to success. And a lot of, when you talk about parents, the successional part of success, one of the things that, you know, we talk about, or I talk about, or I think is kind of cool and sexy, which is why a lot of people love residual income, is that it's generational, right? Like we make legacy, we make generation. Like the projects that I do, I know the projects that you plan, they're generational, they make impact, they're legacy based, which is why Rock Legacy is part title of the book that's launching, and you're going to be speaking in the summit. You know, it's like, it's about Rock Legacy and tell all. It's like, let's share in community and tell everybody how to create legacy, whatever that means. For me, I'm going to tell you, one of the most coolest things that I watch is I watch my daughter, you know, I watch her take some of the things that I taught her, and I dare not say that, oh, I taught you that. I would never say that.
Oh, no.
Right. But I watch her take those applications of, you know, philosophy and incorporate them into, when I can hear her talk to her daughter, Brinley, don't do that, or Brinley, do this, or Brinley, say this, or Brinley. And I watch, and I was like, That's super cool. That's legacy. I think that's why being, a grandparent for some people, I'm personally a yaya. I'm not a grandma. Let's just get really clear. So that's just, why being a yaya is so yummy. It's so yummy because you do get to see things fall forward in a way that's very positive. So keeping it around business though, tell us a little bit about, so you went from direct sales and now you coach in direct sales, but you also decided to go into media. So there's a lot of people this year, we're teaching a class on how to help people monetize their podcast. I met you through the podcast world, and two people saying you guys need to talk because you do a cool summit and your podcast is a big part of that. So what, there's a lot of people coming into podcast land. There's a lot of people using podcasts for motivation and inspiration. We're really at the brink of something that's going to peak, I think, in 3 to 5 years. What made you decide to go into podcasting? Direct sales, coach, and then podcasting. What's the ups? What's the challenges? What's the fun? What's the not?
Oh my gosh. So I went into podcasting kicking and screaming. I'm not going to do this. Yeah, no. So I was invited to go to a conference back in 2017. My coaching business was all of 6 months old at the time. I was like, I don't need to learn how to do this media thing. I need freaking clients. And my business coach said, yeah, duh. Where do you think they're going to come from? Oh, okay, good idea. So what should I do? And so this particular conference we went to had a number of people there who had their own podcasts, and then the people in the audience were people who wanted to be on podcasts, or some of them already had podcasts as well that were looking to build and grow, monetize all the things media related. And so I ended up going to that first one. Ended up as a guest on 8 different podcasts. So in the next few months, I was cranking out an interview or 2 on other people's podcasts. Well, what happened for me was not that I started getting clients from the podcast audience, but because I was sharing all these interviews with my network, all of a sudden people in my network were listening going, wait, what are you doing? You're not doing that direct sales thing anymore? Like, I had been talking about coaching for almost a year at that point, and people had completely missed it. Thank you, social media algorithms. Yeah, right. And so I went to another summit, ended up getting 22 interviews. And so over the next 18 months, kept putting out more content on all of these variety of podcasts, and was seeing a lot of results from people in my own network listening and saying, oh, wow, I think you can help me. Oh, wow, I think you can help me. So I went, if that's what's happening when I am on other people's podcasts, I wonder what would happen if. So I started brainstorming with my business coach about what kind of podcast I would want to do. And she had me go do some research. She had me go take a look at, what was already out there in the world of the direct sales podcasts. And so I did my research and figured out that a lot of the podcasts that were out there were very conservative, very, most of the hosts who were women were either soccer mom or sours. I'm going to help you, launch your business to the, whatever.
Yeah.
And people who are listening to this right now, I have purple hair and tattoos. I am not a soccer mom. I am not a power suit, power pose kind of girl. And so we figured out my branding was really something a little more edgy, a little more badass. And so that's where the podcast came from, was this badass direct sales. And then what do people want? They want to master their business. They want to rock it, right? So badass direct sales mastery. So we started playing in that space of going, yes, this is my client attraction model. And at the same time, what I love about this is it provides a free resource of people who are in direct sales get into direct sales because they need a second stream of income or third, right? They're not thinking I need to go get a coach. They're sitting here going, I need to make money and I need to learn. And so they're going out looking for places to learn things. And so I was like, this is going to be great because now I can provide a free resource for people who really, really need it. Not everybody can afford a coach yet, but what I do say is if you listen to the show, take what you learn, put it into practice, then maybe one day you'll be able to afford me and come see me and let's get you going. And then we'll really rock and roll, but let's shorten your learning curve with this free resource first.
Yeah.
So I was able to then take this, and yes, I got into media to build my business, but it also ends up serving a whole audience of people who are never potentially going to hire me, but I still get to put those ripples out in the world, empower those moms and dads. Cause what I have found out is 30% of my audience are men.
Yeah. 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 Awesome.
I know. I'm super happy because my numbers are actually different than what's showing up in the world of direct sales. In the world of direct sales, only 25% of the population are male.
That's interesting.
So
yeah.
Lots more men than you know than women are listening to my podcast than what shows up proportionally in the industry, which I think is really fascinating. But who knows? It's probably the corset and the whip on the front cover of my podcast that brings them in.
Well, if you have Jennie's logo, that may not be such a surprise. But and people we're just to let you know, we are video as well, just in case you decide to like, put your hair up in a little, funk or something. So some people can see you.
Right.
So thank you for sharing that. I think that's interesting that you had that epiphany. If I was to take some gemstones out of there, it would be like what we did. Really dig down. This name of your business, if you decide to go into podcasting, is critical. It's critical. It's branding, but it's also, I think, a very personal identification. Like it's for us, mission accepted was, I truly believe that's what we do. For you, it's like you were very clear on your mission. You wanted to step out. You did your research. Like I heard you did your research. You did your this, you did your that. And the decision to have a podcast, you guys, you can do a podcast and, learn things like monetizing or the full value later. You can make that decision. You can do what she did, go on podcasts, and then realize this would be a great place for you to be. Yeah. But, being or creating other people's audiences is in this digital, footprint that it's an important piece of business. And, within 5 years, I believe everyone's going to have is going to be using this quite strongly as a marketing tool. So let's change everything up a little bit. What's something about you we don't know? And it can be business, it can be personal, it can be, we all know you have purple hair now.
Yeah.
So what is something about Jennie that we don't know?
Something that you don't know. Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious. My mind is going in so many different directions right now. Well, I'll put it this way. One of the things that I talked about in my third episode of my podcast is because people, if people paid attention, Badass Direct Sales Mastery, BDSM, corset, whip, I address it in the third episode that I'm in the community of BDSM. I'm way more open now than I was back then because at the time, my boyfriend and I were not sharing a lot of that with everybody. So I just kind of said, yes, I'm in the community. So no, I'm not appropriating something that I'm not a part of. Like that was don't anybody get pissed off that I'm talking about domination, submission, all of that kind of stuff. But I play in that world myself because what I have found to be quite fascinating in all of this has been the parallels between the kink world and business. It's been fascinating to see like the amount of communication that's necessary to be effective and not screw things up in both places. It's super necessary, right? There's got to be a full communication, consent, safety. All of that is important.
Interesting. You're
like, I did not think that was going there.
No. I know what, I have incorporated some really cool questions. I could put two and two together. I don't think people have logos that are not. So, but it's interesting how people answer that question. So I think, things like, oh, I jumped out of a plane. People are like, what? You know what I mean? Like, I think it just gives depth and takes us out of, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a media host. But, there's life, there's parenting, there's dreams,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
desires. Following along, because I know that we both believe in optimization. And we've done this game for a while. Not this game. We've had this life for a while. We've been in this journey of building business. And of course, things that people want, and we want it for ourselves, we want it for people too. If you could achieve your goals quicker, if you could have your success faster, if you could have less pain on the journey, which is why people hire people like us. So I call that top performance. I call, whatever it is that you're doing, optimizing it, whether it's through communication or what have you. What would you say if someone was to say, Jennie, honestly, what is the one thing that you could tell me? We may never speak again. That would be advice on how to have a successful business or a top performance business. Like, what's a tip? What's a philosophy? What would that be?
Make your why your focus.
Okay.
Make your why your focus. I think a lot of people hear about the why, but they never dig deep enough. They think their why is to make enough money so that they can leave their job. Why? Go deeper, and then keep going deeper until you like feel the why in your body. You have to have a physical reaction. Now, I hear some people say the why that makes you cry. Yes, some people will cry. Not everybody does. But there has to be a physical reaction. Your brain must be so attached to that why that you dug deeper. Why is that important to you? Well, then why is that? Whatever the answer is, why is that? Just keep going, keep going, keep going. And then once you have that physical reaction, goosebumps, the feeling in the pit of your stomach that everything just fell out. I've had clients describe it to me as like a full body tingle. So no goosebumps, but from their head, their scalp, all the way down their spine, they felt their body had a physical reaction to their why when they hit it. And then you take that and you put blinders on and keep that why as your focus. Put it as the center of your vision boards. Put it everywhere so you don't forget it, because that's why people give up. That's why entrepreneurs stop doing. And I don't care what business model. That's what ends up making most people stop. Not because they fail, but because they quit seeing their vision, and it wasn't driving enough because it wasn't a deep enough why.
Yeah.
And they didn't keep it in focus. They let all the shiny things get in their way.
That's so true. It's got to be big enough. It's got to be juicy enough. Sometimes people got to visualize it. I just was spending time with my son's CFO. I never thought those words would come out of my mouth. And so she's writing, because we're raising capital, because, I'm not the bank, apparently. So I'm the advisor anyways, but she was like, okay, so Natsukashi, which is his company name. He picked the name Natsukashi because he wants people to have good feelings and good memories, because it means nostalgia. I said, no, put this. I said, Ocean has chosen that name because when you put your hand in your closet and you grab that piece of clothing, that when you put it on evokes good feelings and good memories and nostalgia. And he wants it to be his brand. We all have those clothes in those closets, but when we talk that way to ourselves, didn't everybody just get that? Don't putting your hand in the closet? It's like, that's how detailed I hear you saying that people need to get with their why. Like, envision it, visualize it. What does it feel like? What does it look like? Because you're right. There's so many things that will take us off path, including self-doubt, including it's not here fast enough, including it's taking too long, including I just got my butt kicked, or these people left my team, or, oh my God, they went to another company, or
Yeah. No, I think there definitely has to be that piece that people can connect to too, because then those are your why. When you have it as your focus, you share it with other people, and guess what happens? They want to help you get that. that's how you move forward, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that was shown to me when I was in my own direct sales business. One of my lifelong dreams was to go to Paris. I
Mm.
wanted to go to Paris so badly. The very first vision board that I ever made in my entire life was in January of 2014. And 1/4 of that vision board was the Eiffel Tower.
Right on, girl.
Like, and anybody who knows anything about law of attraction is the amount of energy that you put into something, how big you make it is how likely it is to show up in your life. The universe will answer that for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
25% of my vision was Eiffel Tower, people. 25%. It was a huge picture of the Eiffel Tower on my vision board. And what happened from that was then, interestingly enough, 6 months later at my company convention, guess where they announced the incentive trip to? Paris, freaking France,
Ugh,
including a tour of the Eiffel Tower.
of course.
And I was like, it, everybody knows this feeling, right? Anybody who's part of direct sales network marketing, that you're at the convention, they announce the trip, and everyone in the room stands up and screams like they're on Oprah's favorite thing show, right? Everybody, like 3,000 women, 5,000 people, 20,000 people, however big your company convention is. We all know what that sounds like and feels like, right? I stood and I screamed at Paris, and then within seconds sat down and started sobbing.
Mm.
Tears of joy. Because I knew I had it. I knew in every fiber of my being, I was going to Paris and I didn't have to freaking pay for it.
Awesome.
And I shared that with everybody. And so for the next 4 months during the trip contest, what's new, Jenny? What's going on? I'm working to earn a trip to Paris. Oh, wow. How does that happen? Well, I can do it one of 4 ways, and you can help me in one of 4 ways. Do.
Yeah.
I shared it with everyone. Guess what? Everyone wanted to help me achieve my dream because they're like, well, what can I do? Yeah. People want to get on board with a mission like that, something that is so passionate. And you can share your mission and put that out there for the whole world, even if it's not the incentive trip. If that's not your driving force, if it's not one of your childhood dreams to go to Punta Cana, that's fine. That's totally cool. But what is your mission? And, well, guess what? You just might get to go to Punta Cana on the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh my gosh. So look, I'm going to wrap it up there with what's your mission? What's your mission? We talked about changes. We talked about evolution. We talked about sharing from within. We talked about getting super clear. But really, honestly, what's your mission? What a great way to kick off 2023, people. Dig deep and find that out. So look at Jenny. I have one last question for you. And then audience, I have a gift for you. Jenny, who is also one of our summit speakers in the Stand Up, Speak Up, Show Up, Yes You Summit. You guys know, if you don't know, just go to debdrummond.com, right? Or just reach out, and you can go to one of 22 summits, or you can go to all of them. Anyways, Jenny, here's my last question for you. You are on your way to a desert island. Maybe it is, Punta Cana. I don't know, but it's just you and you. You have one suitcase, and in that suitcase, you have room for one album, not a greatest hits and not a playlist, one album. What are you taking with you, girl?
Buckingham Nicks.
Woo! Okay. Buckingham Nicks.
It's Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham before they were with Fleetwood Mac. It is I put that album on when I'm cleaning my house. Like, that's how my kids know that we're cleaning the house. Like, they start hearing that album, they're like, all right, I'll go grab the rags. They know what? Playing all throughout the house.
I am a Stevie Nicks fan. I do not have that. Interesting. I was just talking to my friend from Ireland who turned me over to Peter Green. And Peter Green, of course, started Fleetwood Mac with Mick Fleetwood. And then in the 70s, he went all hippie crazy. And so anyways, and how it converged and why it converged and how it almost fell apart and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a big Stevie Nicks fan. People think that Rumors would be the album I took. It wouldn't be. It'd be Janice. But I don't have that album. I need that album.
Go find it.
Jenny, I need that album. Send me a picture of what the album looks like, and I'm putting the word out. I want that album.
It's Buckingham Nicks.
That's
Oh,
my
and
mission. That's my bucket list. I don't have it. I can't believe I've got the original solo guitar album of the guy who played guitar before Lindsey took over. I got
oh
stuff like
wow.
that. I need that
Buckingham Nicks.
album.
And it's so funny because when I went to go see them in 2015, they came to St. Louis where I live, and they actually played one of the Buckingham Nicks songs. And I was the only one in the, like, my section. I'm the only one singing along, and people are looking at me like they thought it was a new song that Fleetwood Mac was putting out. No, no, no. It was a song from Buckingham Nicks album. And the cover is beautiful. The two of them are naked, but everything's in shadow. So
Oh
it's
my God, I've never
just
even seen that.
art. The cover is just art. It's beautiful, and they are.
Yeah. Okay. Send me a
You hear
picture.
all of
Somebody
the.
send me that album.
Well,
So if you send me that album, you get on this podcast for free. How's that? You get on this podcast for free. We're going to be best friends forever. You're on. Okay.
yes.
So I'm putting that out there. So there you go. I want that. Look, I got a gift for you guys. I think gave an incredible depiction of the beauty of network marketing. And so you guys don't forget, just produced last July, 22 women entrepreneurs and history making couples. This is a compilation. Doesn't talk about their companies and doesn't talk about their income, but I can tell you, you had to be 6 figures and above to get in here. And this is the stories, rich, deep, mini chapters that will inspire you and keep you inspired and gives you all their secrets to how they got to that 6, 7. And well, we got a couple people in here that are billionaires, right? Okay. So if you want this book, contact me. The other one I did. So this one I put together. That was a Mission Accepted production. I did not produce this one. This is called Heart Driven, and it's using your motherhood to fuel your career and soul. I wrote a chapter. This is not mine. This is Melanie and Jody's. But you can look this up. Heart Driven. Just contact me. Contact me because I'm one of those people that support the people that compile. And I bought my case, and I'm happy to share. So I've got these 2 books, and look at July 14th, every year, you guys know what's coming. It's the 2023 compilation of the MLM book. We do it every year to support this profession. Jennie, you need to be in it. I'm going to say that out loud, alive, because I know you rock and you have obviously a lot more to share. But this book, it's still at, 22, 23, 24, 25. These are books that should be given out like, should we say it? Should we say GoPro? Because this is better. So it's better, it's stronger, it's more desired, and it's updated, new, and accurate and informative. I am going to lend this off with you sharing with how people can get a hold of you. Of course, it's in the show notes. It's in the show notes. So if you're driving, keep driving. But if you're writing, write this down. And you can contact Jennie, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. The best way to reach out to me is to go to my website. We have a great contact form there. I have all of the things that people can check out. The podcast is there. The summit sign up will be there once we have that up and running in early 2023. And I will continue doing summits every year. So don't worry, go sign up to be an attendee of the summit. So the website is badassdirectsalesmastery.com. It's really long. Sorry, huge domain name, but
worth it.
It totally is. So there's no dashes, there's no anything. It's just badassdirectsalesmastery.com. So it's a great place to go check out all the things. And there are some free little juicy gifts. If you click around in there, you'll find some great downloads available for you too. So lots of options for people.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on Mission Accepted. What an honor. Thank you guys. We absolutely love you, adore you. Another year on the air. We've got some great things coming, obviously, for 2023. Look, a couple of things. We've got some gifts. Innovative marketing class. You want to learn it the first quarter of this year. It's free for you. If you want to learn profit calling, which is the better name for follow-up, it's the one system that I created that got me #1 in 10 countries, over 150,000 people, multiple years in a row. And you know what? It's time to give it away, and I'm giving it away. And so you can come and listen to that for the first quarter of the year. Then we have monetizing your podcast. If you don't have one, it's about, do you want one? Why would you? And even if that doesn't play part for you, it is about how to get on the right ones, what to say to get on the right ones, and also what to do once you have hit the glory seat of being on the opposite side and being on there, and how you can do that to your advantage. This is stuff you need to know. Anyways, that's a 3-hour class. It's not 30 minutes. So check in with us. We're happy and we're here for you. We bring guests that are happy and here for you as well. Jennie, thank you so much. Have the best Christmas ever. Happy New Year, even though people listen to this in January. 2023 is going to rock. I can't wait for your summit. And I can't wait for you to be on ours. So thank you so much. Blessing. Thank you, audience. We love you and adore you. Bye for now. Be groovy.